Hi, everyone. I'm Elaine Quijano. Hillary Clinton is looking to November. She made history Tuesday night, claiming victory in the Democratic race and becoming the first female presumptive nominee of a major American political party. She acknowledged that milestone in the very first phrases of her remarks before turning to the contrast she intends to draw with Republican rival Donald Trump.
We all believe that America succeeds when more people share in our prosperity, when more people have a voice in our political system, when more people can contribute to their communities. We believe that cooperation is better than conflict, unity is better than division, empowerment is better than resentment, and bridges are better than walls.
Clinton sat down with Scott Pelley and talked about her general election opponent and the challenges he poses. But she began by reflecting on that history-making speech Tuesday night in Brooklyn.
There was a moment last night that you stopped to take it all in. You stretched your arms out wide, and I wonder what was going through your mind at that moment.
I wasn't really thinking, I was just feeling the moment. I was so overwhelmed by the energy and the excitement of the crowd, and I knew how many thousands and millions of people had made that moment possible. So I was especially just wanting to feel it because it was historic for me, but I think it was a historic milestone for so many others as well.
Donald Trump just had the worst 72 hours of his political life, denounced by Republican leaders, labeled a racist and a bigot, and yet yesterday nearly 2 million people voted for him. Who are his supporters and why do they seem to be unshakable?
Well, you'll have to ask them, Scott, because I obviously have watched this primary process unfold on our side as well as the Republican side. He has emerged as the presumptive nominee. I do not believe his views or his rhetoric will find that favorable an audience in the general electorate. Because I think that, as I said last week in San Diego, what he's already said, both words and deeds, disqualifies him from being president. He is temperamentally unfit to be president and commander-in-chief. That's the case we will be making as we move into the general election now. And I have more votes than he does, so I think I have a good, solid foundation to start from.
But he has tapped into something. Millions of people have voted for him. What is happening?
Well, I don't really know. I'm not a pundit or a political scientist. I've read some of the commentary. Look, I'm well aware that there are people, lots and lots of Americans, who feel left out and left behind, who don't think the economy has worked for them, who don't think that the economy of yesterday, which seemed to promise their parents the chance to fulfill the American dream, is there for them any longer. They're also pretty disgusted with the political process and all the gridlock and dysfunction in Washington. And they are looking for some explanation. And I think what Donald Trump has done is, through his slogans and his scapegoating, given people at least a framework. I think it's absolutely wrong. I think it is divisive. I think it is inaccurate. But I understand how many people are looking for some explanation as to what they think has happened to them. And what I believe we should be doing is coming together and coming up with real solutions, not the really bad ideas he has for the economy, national security, and everything else.
It is possible that your biggest obstacle is not your opponent, but yourself. 52% of the American people who participated in our CBS News poll have an unfavorable opinion of you. That is the highest negative impression of anyone ever nominated by the Democratic Party since we started asking that question in 1984. Do you bear any responsibility for that?
Oh, I'm sure I do, but I think when I was Secretary of State and serving our country, I had an approval rating of 66%, and I think it's fair to ask, well, what's happened? And what's happened is tens of millions of dollars of negative advertising and coverage that has been sent my way. I understand that, and I know that it's up to me to not only have won the primary and be the presumptive nominee, but to take this base that I've built and expand it by reaching out to Senator Sanders supporters, to many others across our country, including, I hope, Republicans and independents, about my record, about my service, about my ideas, about the results I think I can provide for the American people.
But the people who have that unfavorable opinion want to know whether you're going to be honest with the American people.
Well, again, I'd ask people to go back and look at my service, 8 years as a senator, 4 years as Secretary of State. I think the answer is yes. And I believe that once we get through this campaign, because I'm confident and optimistic that we'll be successful in November, I will get to work, as I always have, producing results for people. And I think that, in the end, is what Americans are looking for. What are you going to do to make my life and my family's life better? How are you going to protect America, lead the world, and how will you unify us? And I think on all those three tests, I have answers, and I believe Donald Trump fails.
Do you think we will look back on your choice of a running mate as conventional or unconventional?
I don't know, because I have no idea yet. I'm just beginning to really focus. I don't. I'm looking broadly and widely, and I'm going to begin to really, dive into thinking hard about this. My most important criterion is who can be president, who's ready to be president, who can take on the responsibilities. I think I have a unique perspective on how difficult the job is, having watched it up close and personally and served in a cabinet. So I'm going to be looking first and foremost as to who I believe could fulfill the responsibilities of being president and commander-in-chief.
Have you been lucky in your choice of opponent?
Well, we'll find out, won't we? Obviously, that's the Republican choice, but I've watched over this past week as more and more Republicans denounced him for his racist attack on the federal judge hearing the case about Trump University. I've read some of the comments that conservatives, including the Chamber of Commerce, have made about his economic plan, which would add so many trillions of dollars to the national debt, and his casino-like approach to our debt and our responsibilities, the full faith and credit of our country. And even they say his policies would create a national, even global recession. So I think that he's the one who is going to have to answer a lot of questions going forward. I'm going to continue to put forth what I think is right for the country, and I'll be pointing out what I think are the errors in his proposals.
Madam Secretary, thank you for your time at the end of a long and grueling campaign.
Thank you. It's great to talk to you, Scott.